You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Modern Musicology, your podcast about music and all things music related. My name is Rob Levy, and this week, two of our co-hosts are on assignment. They'll be back soon, but I am happy to be here with publisher, writer, and music fan extraordinaire, Mr. Alan Seiler. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm all right. How you doing?
I am great. We are going to talk today about Paul McCartney, and specifically his new...
Who?
Paul McCartney.
I don't think I know who that is.
Well, he's a big up and comer.
Good.
You'll hear some stuff from him. He's got this career. He's 82, so he's kind of an upstart. But
right.
So but we're going to give the guy some exposure because we're trying to help him break out and be famous. But he's got a new record out called Boys from Dungeon Lane, and we want to talk about that and just some of the stuff he's been up to and a few other things as well. So I guess I'll start this week by talking about the sad news that we lost Sonny Rollins this week. And if you don't know who Sonny Rollins is, go to your local record store and buy a record, preferably Saxophone Colossus. But Sonny Rollins is it, folks. He's the last of the great jazzmen that we had living. We've got Ornette Coleman still, but outside of that, it's not much left. He's the last of the bebop tenor sax players. He had a 7-decade musical career, 7 decades. He was awarded the Kennedy Center Honor and a Lifetime Grammy. And he recorded with Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, Thelonious Monk, Jack DeJohnette, Dizzy Gillespie, and pretty much anyone else who's famous in jazz in the post-war era. And he was really known for being a really great improvisational jazz player. And you've heard Sonny Rollins, even if you don't think you have. Like if you've seen the film Alfie, he did some stuff for the soundtrack to Alfie. His record from 1956, Saxophone Colossus, is great. If you're looking for some places to start with him, Way Out West from 1957 is great. The Bridge from 1962 is fantastic. Another great record of his. Also, No Problem, which is a record he did in 1981. If you want to hear what he sounded like in the 80s, check it out. He toured up until the end as well. So, and then there's this famous picture that was taken of all these great Harlem musicians and jazz players in the late 50s, and he was the last one living from that picture. It's a pretty incredible picture too, of all these musical legends. So we just wanted to take a minute to honor Sonny Rollins because it's a pretty big deal. I mean, a lot of these jazz guys had huge influences on a lot of the people we listen to today. And Sonny Rollins was one of those. So we just wanted to mention that. And I know, Alan, you've got some listener feedback. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We heard from a friend of ours, Drew Walco, who wrote in about our 1986 shows and said, one notable omission from April 86 was the Moody Blues' big comeback album, The Other Side of Life. Your Wildest Dreams was a monster hit, and the title track is a great slow burn, and Rock and Roll Over You soundtracked the key scene in Karate Kid 2. So, yeah, that's true. We did not mention that. There's actually a few things that I had on my list that I didn't mention because, like I said, when we are talking about the 80s, we devote 2 episodes each year for our 80s show, and we still can't cover it all because there's so much stuff that came out and so much, big things and so much that we have really personal ties to, really things that really hit us on a very personal level. And, you just we can't go to 3 episodes.
No, we can't.
I wish we could. But thanks so much for commenting. Love hearing from everybody. So you can comment on our socials if you have something you want to say about one of our episodes or just in general, or you can email us at modernmusicology1@gmail.com.
And we'd love to hear from you. I mean, any
Hell yeah.
comments we get are great. Anything you can do to say hi to us or give us your feedback would be amazing. It would
Yeah.
just be
Even if you
great.
just want to tell us we suck. We'd
Well,
love to hear
don't do
that.
that, but yes.
Well, free speech and all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are definitely fans. We don't censor some of the stuff we get. So we should also mention too, and you're talking about some of this on your other podcast as well. But you just got back from Cleveland, and I find it interesting that we're going to talk about Paul McCartney today. But I'm sure you got your fill of cool Paul McCartney stuff at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there is a brand new exhibit all about kind of a career retrospective of Wings. And, it's up on the top floor, the 6th floor. The first time I ever visited the Rock Hall, there was one item on display in that upstairs gallery, and it was one of Eddie Van Halen's guitars. And it was really, really cool to see that guitar. But I thought, this is, a lot of wasted space here. And it's not a very big room. It's small enough that you could exhibit one item. So when I called the hall and I'm like, oh man, I'm planning my trip and I just want to know, what all's going to be open and make sure that nothing is, because I really wanted to see Wings, but I wanted to catch the SNL exhibit, which has been open now for well over a year, maybe up to a year and a half at this point. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to close before I'm able to get there and I'm not going to see it. So I called them and I'm like, hey, look, I need to see this, but I also want to see Wings. Do you think the SNL exhibit will still be open by the time the Wings thing opens? And they were like, yeah, it definitely will be. And I'm like, okay, whew. I said, well, where's the Wings exhibit going to be? And is it replacing any one of the other current exhibits? And they're like, no, this one's going to be up on the 6th floor. And I thought, that doesn't sound very good. That sounds like it's going to be really small and there's not going to be a lot of stuff in it because, like I said, I was there one time and only saw one damn guitar in it. But I got there. First of all, this exhibit was advertised everywhere you look. There was like different signage everywhere. There were like somebody had hand painted the different members on the windows and the logo was everywhere. And each advertisement had different artwork that was like new Wings exhibit on the 6th floor. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it just made me more and more excited as I got out there. So I finally got up to, because right now there's 5 exhibits that I had not seen since the last time I was there. Plus their main permanent exhibit had a ton of changes in it. So I was like overwhelmed with the amount of new stuff that I could see. So I finally got up to the 6th floor and it was amazing. This exhibit was a really, really well designed. It was beautifully laid out. It was thorough. There was a lot of stuff to see. So it was really beautiful. It goes chronologically. It starts sort of with the very beginning of Wings coming together. There's sort of a recreation of one of the rooms in Paul and Linda's, little shack that they were living in Scotland, with like photos on the wall and it was really cute. And then you walk through and it's this progression of Wings history. It was so, so cool. It was really, really well done. And there's been a lot of talk about Wings being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I'm really hoping. So there, over this past year, there was a book about the history of Wings. There was a documentary about Paul's Wings era. And now you've got this new exhibit that's just opened. And I'm really kind of hoping that pushes Wings up on the list of nominees. Like I would love to see that happen.
It would be really great if it did. You are correct completely. And besides all that, just the Beatles stuff they have. I remember the times I've gone, like just the sheer amount of Beatles stuff that would make a Beatles fan squeal with delight is pretty incredible. So yeah, if you get a chance to go to the Rock Hall, please do so. But I think it's interesting that the timing of that exhibit comes right as Paul McCartney drops his 20th solo album.
Yeah.
And he's been everywhere. I think we talked a little bit about this. He had a pretty good week. He was on the week the album, right before the album came out, he was on Saturday Night Live. He did the Rest is History podcast. He went to New York basically and hung out. Did the Rest is History podcast. Did a session for Colbert, the final Stephen Colbert show. While he was in New York, it is rumored that he went to see Yoko Ono, and I would love to have been a fly on that wall just to see if that was interesting, and just generally did tons and tons of interviews. He's done an interview with Mojo. He's done interviews with The Guardian, The New York Times. I have seen more Paul McCartney press for this record than I think I've seen in years.
Yeah.
And this album, I think, is getting a lot more push than any of his other records. And I'm really happy for him, because I think that as much as you and I love his work in the Beatles and his work in Wings and some of his solo stuff, a lot of people of the new generation don't appreciate McCartney as a solo artist. So I'm glad this is happening.
Speaking of that Saturday Night Live appearance, they played 3 songs. The first one was Days We Left Behind, which was the first single from the new album. And right before the show aired, they had dropped the second single, which is Home to Us, which is basically a duet with Ringo, and Ringo plays drums on it.
Yeah.
And so, you're watching the show, it's live, it's happening before your eyes, and the first song comes up and he plays Days We Left Behind. And I think, oh my gosh, I've been thinking for like the previous week or so, I hope that I knew they played that song. I hope the second song they play is Home to Us, because I want to see Ringo. I want to see Ringo get up on stage and sing the duet even if he doesn't play drums live, I want to see him sing the song with Paul. And I think that would just be amazing. They didn't do that. Instead, we got Band on the Run, a Wings song.
Yes.
Which is so damn cool. And that's happened before. Paul has been on the show before and played something new or recent or a Christmas song or whatever. And then in his second segment did a Wings song. The last time it was like 10, I don't know, it's been quite a while, but they did Jet. And then they played a third song to close out the show. Instead of the band playing over the closing credits, Paul and his band played Coming Up. Then, after the broadcast ends, they just stay on stage and play 2 Beatles songs. So basically a 5-song set from McCartney that the studio audience got. So they basically got a little mini McCartney concert. And that's that's so damn cool. So cool.
And I might have cried a little when I heard those 2 Beatles songs. I will freely admit that I was, although I was really happy for Band on the Run. You're the first person I thought of when I heard the opening notes of that. I'm like, Alan is losing his fucking mind right now. So, but in terms of like not fanboying all over the place, musically, I thought it was a really clever batch of songs to choose and the order of songs, which I think is the calculating way that he picked what he was going to play and when, I thought was really clever. And opening with the lead single, obviously people do that, but I think it really established that this is a reflective album. This is him looking back.
Yeah.
And just highlighted that, he's not screwing around with this. This is not a money grab. This is a record he's been working on for like 5 or 6 years. So I really loved that set. I thought it was fantastic.
Right.
Even
Absolutely.
with the Will Ferrell jumping in with the cowbell.
Oh, come on. You have to do that.
Yeah, but McCartney laughing while he's doing that was funny. I thought that added a really nice touch, as you got to see him laugh, right? It's like, okay, he's got a sense of, this is great, right? And it was theater for the absurd, but it was also like a really great nod to the cultural legacy of Saturday Night Live and music, which I thought was cool too.
Yeah, but also, he played the first single from the album, like you said, but then 2 Wings songs. The Wings profile has been really high over this past year and a half, and I love it. I am so excited about it.
Yeah, I'm really happy that he's getting to do whatever the hell he wants to.
And, and the rest of the band is getting their spotlight too. You know, it's always been the Beatles. Of course, it's always been the Beatles, but Wings had its huge successes as well. And I'm happy that lineup, all their different lineup changes, has been getting some spotlight lately.
Yeah.
there's been, like I said, there's been some talk, and like at the Rock Hall, you can there's like these terminals where you can go and you can log in and you can vote for who you would like to see in the Rock Hall. And this has been going on for a while. And this Wings exhibition has only been open for like a week. I think it was only a week when I saw it. And Wings was really high on that list. And I think that's a super interesting possibility because, like, I don't remember what years this happened, but Springsteen was inducted in whatever year it was. And then years later, the E Street Band was inducted. And they were inducted as a band, as, it's his backing band, obviously, but they were all inducted separately from him because his eligibility came up 25 years after his first record. The E Street Band didn't play on one of his records until later on. But it would be super interesting if Wings was inducted. There are so many different permutations of how this could go, because it could be the whole band. There were, over the 10 years that they were together, there were 10 different members. Do you induct all 10 of them? Do you induct the core 3, which is Paul, Linda, and Denny? Do you just induct Wings as the backing band and not Paul for the third time, even though he could certainly be inducted for a third time? Do you do the lineup that was, or, a lot of times they only do the original lineup, the first lineup of any band. So is it just the originals? Do you do the lineup that was the biggest and most successful, which is the one that did the Wings Over America tour? There's so many different ways this could happen if it were to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they can put all 10 in.
I mean, they might.
I just don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. And the other thing that's interesting tying Wings together to where we are now is when you listen to Boys from Dungeon Lane, there are moments of Wings, at least for me, that I heard in the record. I heard a lot of parts of Ram for me. And some other stuff. I hear little flashes of the Beatles. I hear little flashes of McCartney and some other things. But I really hear I hear a lot of the permeations of Wings in that record. And I just thought it was really, really fantastic.
Interesting.
Did you like the Colbert set?
I haven't seen him.
Oh, well, it's all screening. It's fantastic. I won't ruin it for you, but watch the Colbert set. It's great.
Yeah.
But circling back to the record, I know you've listened to it a couple times now.
Oh yeah.
What are your general thoughts on it?
I love it. And his last album I loved. This one I think I like even more.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's, okay, it was, before it came out, it was sort of telescoped as being the nostalgia record. This is McCartney looking back on, because it's right there in the title. It's him looking back on his childhood. And the first single comes out, Days We Leave Behind, and it's sort of got that melancholy, sort of like wistful, looking back into the past kind of thing. And you're like, is this what the whole album is going to be like? And there's a lot of really up-tempo, happy sounding rockers on this album. It actually sounds, for an 80 whatever year old man, it's got a very youthful feel about it, I think.
Yeah, I think he balances sort of these two sides of McCartney. I think he balances this, like, scrappy young guy that we knew from playing in Hamburg and Liverpool and the Beatles, with the sort of nuanced, sublime storyteller looking back at his life. And I think you get both of those, and they are perfectly juxtaposed. They're not fighting each other. And I think it's two sides of a coin. And I love how it's tracked, because he very easily could have made one side the soft side and one side the rock side. But it's tracked really, really well. And I think the opening song is just fantastic as well. Yeah,
As You Lie There. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect beginning. And I think that it's got some really interesting chord progressions in it. And I think that he is at his most reflective with that. And that kind of just sort of establishes where the record's going. And you think you know where it's going, but then, like you said, he throws in a couple more up-tempo things to kind of make it go.
Yeah, Lost Horizon is great.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing I love about Lost Horizon is apparently that's an old cassette that Alan Watt heard and said, "Oh, you have to record this," and they'd been working on it for a while. And
Andrew Watt.
Andrew Watt, yeah, sorry.
That's cool.
But that guy, by the way, is going to be a producer in demand much more than he already is now.
Oh, he already is. He is huge.
He's on the new Michael Stipe record. He's like everywhere. But this guy's going to be like the new producer. This and the Stipe and the other thing he's doing, he's going to be like the it producer for the next 2 or 3 years. But anyway,
dude, he's been it for all. He's
yeah.
worked with Elton and Miley, and I hate to say it, but Justin Bieber. But he was also like, he and Ozzy got super close at the end of Ozzy's life, and he produced the last 2 Ozzy albums.
Yeah.
And would come over and visit Ozzy every day when he was so sick, up like toward the end of his life. And they were incredibly close. And he did the Eddie Vedder album, Earthling.
Oh, okay.
He's worked with Post Malone.
I knew about the Post Malone, and I knew about some of the other stuff. But
He did the last Iggy Pop record.
Yeah.
Every Loser.
Yeah.
Yes. So, man, this kid, and of course he did the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And we know that McCartney is going to be on the new Stones album. I don't know that we know exactly what he's doing. I'm sure he's just playing bass on a song, because that's what he did on their last record, Hackney Diamonds. He played on the song Bite My Head Off, and it was great. So I'm sure that's kind of what he's doing on the new album, Foreign Tongues, but that doesn't come out till July 10th. So we might not know until then.
But it's still cool. I mean, I think the fact that he's got this producer that, people are starting, that are in the mainstream, that aren't deep dive music people, are starting to hear about. He's got promotion behind him. He's playing on a Stones record. He's doing all these things that are pitch perfect. And like you said, that opening track is like that as well. Lost Horizon's an old cassette he'd had kicking around. What else did you like off the record?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like Home to Us. Yes. I think that is just a fun little bop of a song. There's a couple of songs on the album, though, that I am really drawn to, because I'm a real sucker for songs that change tempo or change time signature, like midway through the song. And there's a couple of songs on the album that does that. Mountaintop is one, which, it's pretty much the whole song throughout the end. And then it comes to what you think is the end. And then all of a sudden it just throws in a big tempo change with a big rock and roll ending that fades out. And it's so good. And then the other one is Salesman Saint, which kind of travels back and forth between a straight 4/4 and like a swing 12/8 beat. And it's so good. I just absolutely love it.
The thing that's interesting too about Home to Us is not only do you have Ringo on it, right, but Chrissy Hines doing backing vocals on it. And then you've got, which I did not know, Shireen Shapira from this band Texas that I loved is on it as well. So he's got some really great female voices to balance out what he's doing, which I think is really great. I'm not sure that's my favorite song on the album, but it is up there.
Yeah, it's good.
I also like Ripples in a Pond, which is a song he wrote for his wife. His current wife. I just think that's a really, really great one. And I like Down South, which I think is cool because it's him reflecting on hitchhiking with George Harrison when they were young. And anytime he reflects about stuff with the Beatles, I'm a sucker,
Yeah, I love those lyrics. Where it's talking about it was a great way to get to know you, and we sat around and talked about guitars and rock and roll, and and the line is, it was a great way to get to know you. And he ends the chorus a different way each time. The second one is, it was a good way to get to know you before we learned to twist and shout.
Yeah.
What a great line that is.
I know. I'm like, this is, and he's done this a lot, throughout his career. And I understand that he reflects upon that, but you still really feel an artist who's missing his friends.
Oh yeah.
But I think Harrison particularly hit him hard. But I just love the sort of, I know it's melancholy and stuff, but I really like that one. I also like First Star of the Night, which apparently he wrote while he was touring in Costa Rica. But I really like that one too.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not a standout track on the album, but it's not terrible either. It's kind of one the first time I heard it. I'm like, okay. And now it's kind of slowly sinking in. I'm at the point where the record, it's got my moments in it. And now I'm sort of seeping in the stuff that I didn't really relate to right away.
Yeah. I will say that Come Inside is really good.
Yes.
And Never Know is sort of rising up to be one of my favorites on the record. I think it's super catchy. It's got a great chorus, and I've really been enjoying it. And it's interesting, or it's important to, I think, point out that this whole record is basically written by Paul, but 5 of the tracks he co-wrote with Andrew Watt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great that we're not really doing a whole lot here with a co-writer or anything. It's all purely McCartney.
Yeah.
It's all, and it's certainly the more personal songs, Days We Left Behind and Down South. And those ones are all like just McCartney. And Days We Left Behind is pretty much all McCartney playing. Like, I don't think Andrew plays like some of the stuff on the album, but I don't think there's anything on Days. I think every single note that you hear on that song is McCartney,
mm-hmm.
which is wonderful.
Which is great. And we talked a little bit about how, he's been working on this for, I think, 5 years, but I think the thing that really helped him with this record is that Capitol just basically didn't give him any sort of caps. I think he was able to work on this as he wanted to.
What are you going to say to McCartney?
I know, but in this day of music labels and things, they try.
Right. What are you going to say? Hey, Paul, we would really like it if you did this. No, fuck that.
I would think they would at least maybe give him a deadline saying we want this for summer of this or summer of that. Something like that. I don't think they're going to give him any guff, but it's still great that at a time when artists don't get a whole lot of say in what they're doing with the album. And I realize it has to be a legacy artist, right? But he gets to pick Andrew Watt, who you said is, a big deal. And I knew he was a big deal, but I didn't know till you mentioned all that he was that big of a deal. And he gets to do things on his own terms. And the fact that he had 5 years to work on this, I think really helped. And I think the fact that he was able to just sort of make it between tour stops and kind of at his leisure, I think that really helped the album sort of get fleshed out and developed. And I think that helped with sort of the reflective tone too. I think that long haul with the record really worked for it in this case.
I also want to point out, fucking Andrew Watt is 35 years old. This kid has made a huge impression in a very short amount of time, and has worked with some of the powerhouses, and he's like in his 30s.
Yeah. That record he made with Iggy, like you said.
He's been working on stuff since he was like, let's see when it was. Let me scroll back. 2013. So he would have been in his mid to early 20s at that point.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know.
Ah, my God, that's crazy. So good for him.
And the obvious connection that you and I really care about is Ben Foster's on this record, as he arranged some of the songs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So for those who don't know, he worked on some of the composition work for Torchwood and Doctor Who. So that ties it all back to...
That's right.
It ties it all back. But I just love the people that he got to work with him. I just think it's a really smart move, because when you are somebody with the stature of a McCartney, you can do whatever you want. It would be very easy for your ego just to say, I'm going to do whatever I want, get out of my way, and not listen to other voices. But the fact that he's listening to other people in the room with his sort of cachet is pretty cool.
Yeah. I want to go talk about As You Lie There again, the opening track, because I think it's so different from a lot of what you would hear on a McCartney album. It's kind of unexpected. It starts kind of quiet with a sort of a spoken word verse, and then it sort of like just pile drives into this big, fat, loud guitar chorus. And the later iterations of the chorus, like the second and toward the end of the song, he's singing it so high in his register. He's kind of like not screaming it out, but it's like, it just has this anguish about it. And I think it's an incredible track. It's still the highlight on the record for me.
I think it is. And I think that bombast to it really lends well to the overall sort of tone of the record too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that. That's kind of stuff like that kind of reminded me of Wings, because it's sort of got a tone and it sort of plods along and then bam, it punches you in the face, right?
Yeah.
Which I love, right? I love it when he does that. And I don't think everybody can do that. I think that's a uniquely great McCartney trait, is he sort of knows when to drop these sort of like meaty parts of guitars and sound, and when to restrain. I think the restraint on this record is really great too, which I know sounds weird, but there are songs where he's unrestrained and he's uninhibited, and then there's songs where he's reined in, and like you can hear the timbre in his voice that this is an older person singing, and I think it's beautiful.
There's a lot of, as we've talked about, there's a lot of great songs on here. There's Lost Horizon, Ripples in the Pond, Mountaintop, Down South, all good songs, all like very normal song structure, great verse, great chorus, good breakdown, that kind of thing. As you lie there, there's a drama about it. It's a dramatic song in a way that none of the other songs on the album are.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. I think it's such a powerful opener.
I'm wondering where that song got recorded in the process, whether that was the first thing he did or the last. Cause
yeah, true.
I'm kind of curious about that. I could easily sing it being the first one that sort of laid the foundation, but I could also sing everything else sort of leading to this crescendo where that is.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I'm fascinated by not only the way the songs were tracked, but also like in what order they were recorded. I'm really curious about that, just to see the narrative that you get with that.
Comparing this to the previous album, McCartney 3, there was a great, like it starts really well also. And there's a song called Find My Way, which is super catchy and it's up tempo and it's a lot of fun. And it's such a drastic difference from that to the way they opened this album.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But it's interesting. Normally when an artist does a song, and we've talked about this on the podcast a few times, an artist will do a song as the first cut on the album, and then the rest of the album sounds nothing like it, and it sounds disjointed and fractured. This does not. And I think that's masterful, that this record this song is so different from everything else on the record, but it totally fits within the confines and the structure of the album. But I think that this record in particular, he had to, I use the phrase come out swinging, but it's not really, in terms of tempo or melody. I think he really had to sort of lay the groundwork for what the album was going to be about and what he wanted to say. And then he could do, after he said that and did all of it, he could do whatever he wanted with the rest of it. Yeah. And I kind of feel that that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I think this is an artist, we always talk about artists when they're, in the latter part of their career, like, oh, they're on decline. This is an artist that is still comfortable with who he is. This is an artist who's redefining how he sounds in the 21st century. And I think that it's fantastic.
Yes. And that is a great point. He is 80, whatever, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, 80, whatever. And he is absolutely not in decline.
Yeah.
New album, a documentary last year, a book about Wings, and the new exhibit at the Rock Hall, appearance on Saturday Night Live, appearance on Colbert, the most recent Rolling Stones album, plus the one that's just about to come out. He is all over he does not stop. Yeah. He never slows down.
Yep.
He could retire at any time, because it's not like he's doing this for the money, because he is loaded. So he doesn't need to make money, He's got more money than any person on the planet. So he's just doing it because it's in his blood. It's what he loves. It's what drives him. And it's so great to see somebody who is that age, who is still able to produce the way that he does and to still be active, because there's a lot of people who aren't in that situation, because of fragility, or because of, I hate to say it, but mental decline, because of all sorts of things. And Mr. McCartney is just keeps moving forward. And that's so exciting.
And he's still involved in the new Beatles documentaries that we get on Disney,
Yeah.
and so he's involved in those, and
Yeah.
he's actually really taken to this new Beatles film that's coming out. He's been hanging out with Paul Mescal, who's going to play him in the movie.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
he didn't have to sit down with Paul Mescal for like.
Yeah.
Paul Mescal's like, I couldn't get rid of Paul McCartney. He kept following me around and telling me everything. Apparently he had like 10 or 12 questions and he got like 10 hours of stuff. I mean, the fact that he is like that willing to sort of get involved with someone else playing him it says a lot, because he very easily could just be like dismiss it and like, oh, this is not how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And he's just so cool, The other thing too about the record is, and you touched upon this with saying, that he's still completely spry and everything, but he is still very much an artist who controls every aspect of his career, from like the way the album cover looks to everything else. And he very easily could just be like, oh, you just do that and I'll come back. But he is very hands-on still. And I love that he's just as hands-on with the non-musical stuff on the album, like the artwork and the graphics and the letter fonts on the song titles. And I love that. And I love the fact that he's doing his BBC interview that he did around the album when it came out was really great too. So you kind of get an impression that this is all serious and he's not screwing around with it. This is not, my grandkids need money. And the other thing I think is really clever too, is that when you listen to the record, it sounds very much like it's old and new at the same time. I can't really explain it, but it sounds like it came from the era of the cassette, but it also sounds fresh. And I can't explain how it has its foot in both to me, but it sounds like vintage McCartney and a new McCartney at the same time.
Yeah.
And I love it when artists do that, but how the hell does he do it? It just,
he just stays true to himself.
Yeah. Sometimes that's not good enough though. I mean, there are levels of artistry, like Neil Young and Springsteen and guys like that have had really great success, in their 70s and being older. Right. But even they are nowhere near where Paul McCartney is with his success right now. He's a monolith. I don't know how other to explain it other than that. He's like, sort of like, he's not on the Mount Rushmore. He is the Mount Rushmore. It's so incredible to see him do all this.
It's time to make a new promo for Enterprise Splaining.
Why?
So we can tell people about our podcast?
Can we just get the computer to do it?
Good idea. Computer, what is Enterprise Splaining?
Enterprise Splaining is a comedy podcast about Star Trek Enterprise, where each week only one person watches the episode and tells the others what happened. Hilarity ensues.
Does that work?
I guess. But maybe we should include our tagline.
Fine. Enterprise Splaining, the podcast where we explain Star Trek Enterprise to each other and to you.
You mentioned this before a little bit about Ringo. I think that hearing Ringo and him sing really got me.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't feel like a gimmick, which I really love too.
Yeah. I mean, it easily could too, because it's all about reliving the past and being nostalgic, and you get that voice, that Ringo voice and that Ringo drum playing and the drum sound. And it's all designed to make you think back. And yeah, that's kind of gimmicky, but at the same time, it doesn't come across that way. It feels genuine.
And I loved hearing that Ringo drum again.
Yeah. And that's, talking about all the things that McCartney's been up to. He was also behind that new Beatles, quote unquote, Beatles single that came out a couple of years ago. He's just a dynamo for an old man.
And he's also very busy with his school that he's got in Liverpool, the academy that he founded. He goes to every graduation. He arranges his life to go to every graduation and meet every kid. Oh, the other thing too is, you see him when he plays these festivals. You saw him on the Oasis tour, right? Seeing Oasis, and he's like seeing all these bands that, he likes, and it's kind of cool. I mean, if I'm Oasis and I'm on the side of the stage and Paul McCartney's watching me, I'm a little freaked out.
Right.
I just think that's cool. I think the fact that he goes out and sees bands still is awesome.
Yeah, of course.
I just think it's great. I just think that, when you hear, oh, he's making another record, you hold your breath because you're like, I want the legacy to be awesome. I don't want it to be tarnished, but it's not, and it's fantastic. The other thing that I think really makes this record work is the way it's mixed with his voice. I think that his voice sounds absolutely perfect on every track. People have said that, oh, he sounds like he's older. There's times when he sounds like an 82-year-old man.
Sure.
Well, I don't want him not to sound like an 82-year-old man. And I think that when his voice sounds vulnerable and fragile and light, I like that. But then it sounds really strong. When you listen to like Going South, it sounds fine. I think it works. I think that him not augmenting his voice with technology, and I think the fact that he's just like, I'm going to sing these songs how I want, is another nice aspect of the record too, is that his voice he can still do different things with his voice that I think a lot of artists just don't ever think of doing.
Well, people have been complaining about his voice for years now. Yeah. And certainly when McCartney 3 came out in 2020, so it's been 5, oh my God, it's been really 5 years since that. Yeah. Holy cow. Actually 6 years. Well, December. So it's almost a little over 5 years. I can't believe it's been that long, but that was one of the things that people really glommed onto. Was, oh my God, his voice is shot. He can't sing anymore. He blah, blah, blah. He's 82 years old. Leave him alone.
Yeah. I mean,
at least it's honest. At least it's not, at least you can go and see him and you know that what you're hearing is real and it's live.
And I've loved his honesty as a musician, even from when I saw him at a stadium show. And what struck me when I watched that show is he didn't leave the stage and he didn't stop to drink water. And I was just like, who is this guy? I just love his sincerity, and he sort of wears who he is on his sleeves, right? Mm-hmm. And I like that. And I think this record is indicative of who he is as not just an artist, because I think we were all expecting that, but I think you really get to see what he's like almost as a person, you know?
Oh, yeah.
There's almost this... When he's looking back and being nostalgic, there's almost this two-edged thing where he's like reminiscing and dealing with the nostalgia of the Beatles, but he's also unburdening himself with it in many ways as well, which I think is really, really, really sort of a facet of his songwriting and his performing.
He spent so much of his life and his career not being reminiscent, you know? So you get that payoff now, and he certainly earned the right to keep moving forward, but do so by still looking back and reliving some of those past glories when he has spent so much of his career not doing that, when he easily could have.
Yes.
And, you got moments where, what album was it, where he did the song about John. And it was years after John had passed, and it took him that long to kind of like package his feelings and his reaction to it in a song. And oh my gosh. So, I think it's fine for an 82-year-old man to be reminiscing. I mean, that's what age does to you. You get to a certain point, and like I'm in my mid 60s, and I spend a lot of time now looking back on things that I did, things I wish I'd done, remembering things that happened and realizing that your memory isn't what you wish it were, because there's a lot of things that I have like partial recall of, but there's a lot that I wish I could relive more specifically as well.
And he very easily could just fall into the trap of just living in nostalgia with a whole record, and it would be fine, but he doesn't. And I think that's great. So
the advantage that a Paul McCartney has with this sort of situation is that his entire life has been documented so thoroughly that he has nothing but reminders of who he was and what he did and where he was at a certain point of time and everything that went on. I don't have that.
Yeah.
So it's harder for me to recall some of my early things other than flashes of specific memories. There's so much that I wish I could recall more.
Yeah, me
more
too.
Definitely. But he can look anywhere he wants and he can see, like that story about how Bowie talked about he knows Station to Station was recorded in a certain place at a certain time because he's read that's where it happened, because he was so blitzed out of his fucking mind that he has no conscious awareness of where he was when that happened. And McCartney, had some similar experiences, but at the same time, I don't think he ever got to the point that Bowie did at that point in his life. But
No.
he can reference everything in his life easily on the internet, in a book, in a film, anywhere. I mean, that's a kind of a gift.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of constant and like, I know it would be hard to live that sort of life where literally you go to the bathroom and it's chronicled somewhere, but to be able to look back and see your whole life documented is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. But also being able to do that while musically moving forward, if you're him, is also pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And to still have ideas too.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So many people just either rehash what they've already done or don't do new stuff and just tour on the greatest hits from the decades before. But he's not ever run out of musical or lyrical ideas. That's amazing.
And he's always writing,
Yeah.
He was writing in between live shows and tour stops, and some artists, when they tour, stop writing and they just tour. And the fact that he's still writing when he does that is kind of an interesting glimpse into how he works as an artist too, and how he writes and things too. And he's got his book of photography is out too. We forgot about that.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, God.
That book of that big fat huge hardcover book of lyrics.
Yeah.
Which he wrote new stuff like notations and things for.
Which I really want at some point. when I get $9,000 and have a giant shelf that I can fit it on, I want that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts you have that we didn't cover on the new McCartney record and McCartney in general?
The only thing I think is going back to Wings and the Rock Hall is I hope that if something happens, it happens soon, because we're at a point now where of the 10 members that were a part of that band over those years, half of them are not here anymore.
Yeah.
And the core lineup, the only three that were there the entire time, Paul, Linda, and Denny have been gone for years now.
Yeah.
And, I would really love to see Linda be inducted. And but even in that main lineup, where they, the Wings Over America lineup, what's his name? Jimmy McCulloch is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many key players in that band that are no longer there that I want them to be inducted, but I wish that they were there to enjoy it.
And you're completely right about Linda, but I think the other interesting thing about Linda too is that her photojournalism of rock music is also historically relevant and important.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm not sure the Rock has really thought about. They don't do much induction of rock journalists or rock photographers or people like that.
Right.
I think they'll get there, but I'd like to see that part of the Rock Hall kind of open up a little. And I think Wings opens a lot of doors for a lot of other bands as well.
But the hall itself has done exhibitions of different photographers' work. Maybe we would see a Linda McCartney exhibition at some point.
I would love to see that.
That would be so cool.
I would really, really love to see that.
Yeah.
So,
well, do you have any shout outs you want to do?
No shout outs. I just want to thank everyone, who listens every week. We when we are on our social media and we look at the social media comments that we get on our things, it's just nice to know people are listening and commenting, and that we've instilled a polite discourse without name calling or anything, and that people just want to hear music. And I think that's great. And the fact that, I get to do this with 3 people I love and respect and think are awesome every week is great.
Aw.
And thank you everybody for listening and for making this hard work pay off. And, letting Alan and I ramble on about Paul McCartney, because we could go on forever about him. So
now I know that we had promised listeners the last time we were on that this week we would be doing our show all about unaccompanied drum intros, and then both Stephanie and Anthony had other commitments come up, so they weren't able to do the show. So we pivoted. If the plan holds, that is what we're going to be doing next time.
Yeah,
boy,
that's been a fun.
Well, it might be another, pivot.
That was a fun musical exploration because there is so much. I was very restrained in giving you songs.
I know.
Yeah,
I could do a million of them.
I could do it. Right after I turned in the list, I'm like, oh, I forgot about Anthony's got some great ones, and Steph's got some great ones too, and it's all over the place too, which I love. Yeah,
it's going to be a fun show. So hopefully that's what we'll be doing next time you hear from us, dear listeners. All right. So if people want to find more about you, Robbo, where are they going to go?
You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook, just under my name, nothing fancy. And also Threads, because I think if you post on Instagram, it goes to Threads, sort of whatever. Also, you can find me on Community Radio St. Louis, CRSTL.FM, every Wednesday with Juxtaposition. Turns 30 in August. So I've been doing this for most of my adult life, and I still forget things like Alan had talked about. And that's at CRSTL.FM every Wednesday from 7 to 9 Central Time. Mondays, I have 2 shows on. The first one is on Louder Than War Radio from 12 to 2 Central Time. That's on Louder Than War Radio. That show is called Antics. It's out of Manchester, England. It's run by the great John Robb, who's nuts in a completely fantastic way. And then also the Face Radio out of Brooklyn from 5 to 7 on Monday nights Central Time. And then every weekend on Eardrum Buzz Radio, eardrumbuzz.net out of Los Angeles. My show airs twice every Wednesday from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, and again 8 to 10 p.m. Central Time. And it's the same show. I'm not doing that many, but you can list all those, and you can you can find me on the web.
Cool.
And what about you? I know you are also very busy.
I'm practically a Paul McCartney level busy. I'm not really. You can get all my shit at cosmiccreative.com, KOZMIC creative.com. I think that I have got to the point where I have finished the writing on the book that I've been working on sort of a history of women composers.
Ooh.
So I'm going to do a little bit of rewrites on it, and I got to work on the layout, but I've got to decide things like what size I want the book to be, and photographic, illustrations that are going to go along with each chapter and things like that. So there's still a lot of work to be done on it, but I think that I've got the writing to its end point. So I'm excited about that. And then once that's done, I am just chomping at the bit to get back to work on the Bowie book that I have been working on for a while, which is basically Bowie's life told through 80 songs that I can hopefully have out next year to tie in with his 80th birthday, because otherwise it won't make any damn sense, and I'll have to change my title and everything anyway. But I've been working on that, and kind of put it aside because I was got really jazzed about the composer book, and now that it's kind of coming to an end, I'm super ready to get back on the Bowie project. So we'll see. Anyway, we will be back again in 2 weeks, I guess it is.
2 weeks.
With our show about drums. And I can't wait. It's going to be so fun. So everybody have a great week. We'll take care, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.